Hey there, Knicks fans. This NBA season, every shot you take with Fanatics Sportsbook puts points on the board. Earn up to 10% FANCASH on your bets, win or lose. So even if your bet misses, you're still scoring FANCASH. Unlock the world of Fanatics with FANCASH for exclusive rewards like authentic apparel, game tickets, and meeting legend at Fanatics events. Make the switch and turn every bet into a bucket with Fanatics Sportsbook. Winning hits different here.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Knicks Film School Pregame Show. My name is Andrew Claudio, and it is time to preview another Knicks matchup, this time on Saturday night against the Orlando Magic. This time, not at the Garden, but at MSG Disney. Some may even call it the Kia Center, but a lot of Knicks fans will most likely be in attendance, and potentially it'll be for a road victory because the Knicks actually won a road game on Wednesday night. They defeated the Dallas Mavericks. Last 2-minute report also came out, so the contact that Landry Shamet might have created on Brandon Williams did not actually get ruled a foul in hindsight, and the correct call was made at the end of the game. So any Knicks fan that was feeling bad about winning on a controversial end-of-game call, refs took a second to look at it and said that, no, the correct call was made, the Knicks should have won, and that's their story, and they're sticking to it. And who am I to question the officials and the integrity of said officials in the NBA? They've never been wrong. We should respect the authority of officials, especially when they give the Knicks a victory. And hopefully they play better so that way they don't have to sweat out a loss against the end of game against the Dallas Mavericks. Look, I say all of this because the high of getting Jalen Brunson back was quickly erased by having to sweat out a game against a franchise in shambles. And now they play the Orlando Magic, a team that, you want to talk about a team that the vibes were not very high a week ago. I had Mr. Jonathan Osborne on this show about 7 days ago, and he was saying how the Magic need to earn the trust and respect of the fan base and prove they're contenders in this conference. And boy, did they go out and prove something. I don't know what that something was, but they proved something against the Knicks at Madison Square Garden last Wednesday. Unfortunately, in that game is when we lost Jalen Brunson, and unfortunately, in that game is when they lost Paolo Banchero. But the Magic, they're rolling at the moment. They're 5-1 in their last 6. They are now 9-7 on the season. They're starting to look a little bit like what I thought they would be, a team that's solid on defense. They're better offensively. Desmond Bane has remembered how to shoot the three a little bit. They're getting some good performances. In fact, I'm recording this mere hour or so after they defeated the collapsing Los Angeles Clippers, who I know it's been mentioned that the Clippers pick goes to the Thunder. It cannot be stated enough how catastrophic that will be if the Clippers end up being like a lottery team and their pick ends up being top 5, let alone the winning pick, and the Thunder win 70 games and they then get Darren Peterson. But enough about the Clippers. Let's talk about the New York Knicks and the Orlando Magic, and a conference that may be better than people have expected. Joining me to talk about this matchup on Saturday night, also from the Sixth Man Show, hopefully a little more optimistic now that his basketball team is on a roll, Mr. Kevin Tucker. Welcome back to Knicks Film School, sir.
Thank you, Andrew. Good to be back. Always good to be with you. Always good to be with the Knicks fan school community, Knicks Film School community, excuse me.
Yes. No, Knicks fans that go to school here.
Sure.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But good to be here.
Absolutely. So fresh off a victory against the Los Angeles Clippers, you got to see it in person, not in person, obviously, but you got a front row seat to watch the Clippers and what they are this season. You could argue that the Clippers are a bad team at the moment, so the Magic are taking care of some bad teams while Paolo is out. Like I mentioned a week ago, Jonathan came here. Vibes were somewhat down. Our group chat reflected that the both of you were like, how many picks did we give up for Des Bane? And now, just from watching your post game and now watching just how the Magic have looked over the last week and a half, it seems to have started to turn around. So you tell me, I ask again to someone from the Sixth Man Show, how are the vibes in Orlando at the moment?
The vibes are quite good, Andrew. Like you mentioned, as you were setting this up, we won 5 of 6. And the lone loss was on Sunday in Houston without Paolo and without Jalen Suggs. And we took them to overtime. They had to have like a last second miraculous bucket to send it to overtime. And the team played great. And so again, 5-1 in your last 6, and that's your only loss. The vibes are really, really high. The team's playing really well. And it's less about, honestly, it's less about the wins and more about the optics. This team looks like the team that we expected. And I mean that from a sense of like style and personality and body language and all those things. The first 2 weeks were really rough. I don't know. I honestly didn't listen to everything that you and Jonathan said in that episode. I don't know how much you guys talk about the pace that the Magic tried to play with at the beginning of the season. It was a mess. It was awful. It's just not how this roster is constructed. And so they've kind of returned back to the ways that really made this team relatively successful in the last 2 seasons. A little slower pace, focus on the defense, and the rest has really fallen into place.
Has the pace slowed because they've had to play without Paolo and play a different way, or was this something that started before Paolo went down?
It started before, and I think it definitely plays actually into Paolo's strengths a little bit more. If anything, if you're comparing Franz and Paolo, I'd say Franz would be the more likely guy or the better tool to use if you're trying to push the pace, and Paolo definitely is better suited for slowing it down. But it started, before Paolo went out, and it's definitely continued since then, and it's been much more improved, especially like even just, again, the watchability of it. This is a watchable basketball team again, which is great.
Yeah. So I also want to take some credit for the Magic turnaround personally, because Des Bane hits that 3 against Portland, the buzzer beater, and It was his only 3 of the game. To that point in the season, he hadn't had a game where he made 3 threes, I believe. No, he only had one game all season. It was opening night against the Miami Heat, right? Yep. So I know this because shout out to my friends at Fanatics Sportsbook. It was my turn to make all 5 picks for betting and sweating, the reel that we put out, the competition that we're having on social media. And I said, you know what goes up comes down, and vice versa. What goes down eventually comes back up. I'm going to predict that Des Bane gets 3 threes. We have to make an op bet. And so I took Des Bane 3+ threes against the Knicks, and he hit exactly 3 in that game. And you know what he's done since then? 3, 3, 2, 2, 3. The percentage is already up over 31%. He was at 27 the night that I made that pick. So obviously my pick that night is what turned Des Bane's season around. Not just like career regression to the mean of what he always was or anything like that. I am sure that him being a positive contributor, I should say, from 3 has hopefully, because I did understand, I empathize, like you got Caldwell Pope to be what Des Bane was supposed to be, and his 3-point shot just never appeared last season. And then Bane gets off to the start he was this year. There was the fear that it's happening again. Has some of that gone away in Magic Land? That this Des Bane guy, he might actually be the 3-point shooter that we were hoping for.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, while we had a little bit of the quote unquote PTSD of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and even before him, Gary Harris did the same thing. Gary Harris, amazing 3-point shooter, also in Denver, and even started in Orlando as a good 3-point shooter, but towards the end just fell apart. But yeah,
right.
He's definitely come back to form, shooting the basketball, and honestly, Desmond Bane's contributions inside a 3-point line have been equally as important and as impressive. Like the way he's just another ball handler for us, which is something we've desperately needed the last couple seasons. And seeing him do that, seeing him, bring the ball up the floor, get to the rim, create for others, it's been really great.
So I mentioned in the intro the wake-up call that the Knicks got last Wednesday, and the Knicks were on a 6-game winning streak. I believe they were beating up some bad teams. They did have a win against the Bulls, who got off to that great start, and the Timberwolves, who obviously have a reputation for having a great defense. And it was like, oh, great, we'll have this game against the Magic, and we'll test ourselves against the good defense. And from possession 1, the Magic defense that I fully expected to see really showed up. And I had gathered from just listening to you guys, and I was obviously talking to John, that hadn't really showed up to that point in the season. But the physicality just like appeared from day one. I think the mood after the game, aside from like, I hope Jalen Brunson's okay, was there still is something here when the Knicks play a tough defense, a physical defense, one that'll like get right up in your grill and potentially force you to play a different way than like other defenses that allow the Knicks to get into this really high powered offense that they've had to start the year. I say all of this because I think in a 7-game series that could happen this year. Like we're far from the days of me saying to you guys, I don't think about the Orlando Magic when it comes to teams that could be in the way of the Knicks winning a championship. I very much think this could be a first or second round matchup in the playoffs this year. So in a matchup, do you think the Magic offense is going to have to like show up, and this is going to have to be like, you're not going to be able to get away with the offenses that you've seen in the past? Or is there a confidence in Orlando that, hey, like we have the defense to stop the Knicks, and let alone anybody, that this is a thing that can be won with defense?
Yeah, it kind of goes back to what I was saying with the optics, right? Like us choosing to focus on defense first that we've seen over the last, 6+ games or so. That's what has instilled that confidence again, not just for the fans, but I think the players too. And that game against Houston on Sunday, it was a perfect example of that. You had no business being in that game. You were without Paolo. You're without Jalen. You're playing in Houston. Houston, I think on paper is one of the best teams in the league. And you had no business being in it, but it was their defense that kept them in it all the way to the very end. And in fact, they had the lead for most of the game and kept them in it to the end. And I think that is going to instill and has instilled confidence, again, not just in the fan base, but in the players, where it's like, hey, if we focus on this, we can be in every game, even if our offense isn't good, even if we're not knocking down threes, which is par for the course for us still, unfortunately, as a team. But even if shots aren't falling, whatever, the defense will keep us in games. And that's all it takes in the playoffs. I mean, just be in games in the last 4 minutes and anything can happen, right? That's just the way it goes. And so I absolutely think, locking in on the defensive side of the floor, I think for this team has been really big and would be a huge factor in a playoff series. And I think it would be enough to keep them in the series. Win the series, I don't know, but it would give them a chance.
Man, you hit it on optics, because I think it's the opposite with the Knicks right now, amongst the fan base, at least. I think defense just isn't there at the moment. The fact that Anunoby's out will obviously contribute to that. They're playing a lot of 5 out that I think a lot of Knicks fans were just annoyed they didn't play a lot of last year. You guys seem to be figuring it out, and their Magic seem to be like they got off to a slow start and they're hitting their stride. The Knicks got off to a hot start, and they're still like 3rd in offense, 5th in net rating. But I still have the same questions that I did on opening day. In fact, I'll ask you what I asked John about, like, the regular season still matters for Magic fans. Like, I know there's playoff expectations now, but the fact that they already have like a couple seasons making the playoffs, a lot of people are projecting them to go pretty far. Is there still like team fans and do you see it in like your post game that like this fan base is still riding and dying with every game with the Orlando Magic?
Yeah, I think if anything, for a couple of reasons, more so now than in the last couple of years, because like you said, the expectations are quite high. They're higher than they've been probably in 15 years, honestly, in Orlando, which is sad, but true. And we, like, even just in our content, we saw that during that stretch where the team was really, really bad. They started 1-4 and it was a mess. I mean, the content was through the roof because everyone was freaking out. Like, this is not what we signed up for. Like, that kind of stuff. So there's that side of expectation, but also if this was year 2, 3, 4, whatever of the Desmond Bane experience with everybody else, I think maybe there would be a little bit of that, that sense where it's the regular season, let's skip to the playoffs. But because it's so new, everyone still wants to see what it can be. We have no idea, I mean, even though we are better, we still haven't fully unlocked Desmond Bane, in my opinion, especially because we played without Paolo for the last 8 days or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's like you guys are having the season we had last year. And I think it comes, not to give Vegas this much credit, it comes with was it a 50.5 over under for the Magic this year? Like, you're projected to win 50 games. So there's no mystery of like, can we get to 50 games? No, that's the expectation this season. That was the Knicks. I think 50.5 was their line last year because they had won 50 the year before. And whereas the Knicks got to 50 in 2024, and it felt like, man, that's an accomplishment. This team never wins 50 games. And when they got it again the next year, it was like, all right, let's see what the playoffs happen. Like, that's where I'm at. So I maintain that I'm curious what the Magic end up, whether they cross paths with the Knicks. How much of this is this game on Saturday, any matchup they play throughout the rest of the season, and obviously if they meet in the playoffs, they're a barometer for the Knicks because, styles make fights.
Which, by the way, I was just going to say, I know you and Jonathan touched on this, but I need to have my go at it. Screw the NBA for making us, for the second year in a row, play the Knicks all 3 matchups before the turn of the year. Like, what are we doing? Come on. Like, it's lame. I hate it. Because last season, especially, because we were without Paolo and Franz for all of those, if I remember right, or at least
without Paolo for all of them, Franz for all but one of them. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. And so I'm like, man, we didn't even get a chance, fully healthy to go at you guys. And obviously Saturday will be the same. We won't have Paolo, assuming, unless there's some kind of miracle or something. But
that's confirmed, by the way. Probably not Paolo. Probably no Paolo on Saturday.
Yeah, I have not heard any rumblings that it would happen this weekend. So I would be very, very surprised. We sit here less than 48 hours away from that game. I'd be really surprised if we see him.
Yeah. I think no Anunoby, by the way, to confirm that, just to make sure. I think the fact that there is like the NBA is kind of talking about this right now. Steve Kerr made those comments. It's like there's the first 2 weeks of the season where everybody's healthy. Then there's like 5 months of, all right, hopefully you have enough bodies because of how the pace is and how physical the game is and the types of injuries. Like Tom Haberstroh wrote a really good article about the types of injuries people are getting in the NBA. They're all soft tissue, wear and tear injuries, and it's what comes from guys just running more and running extra miles in the NBA today. So I'm sorry that there won't be a fully healthy Magic for you. I remind you, there's no Anunoby on Saturday, so neither team is going to be healthy. Before we talk about the East, just in your opinion, what does a disappointing Magic season look like to you? Where are expectations now in your mind?
Yeah, well, 1-4 start. That was just kidding. That was rough. But I'd say, looking ahead, I think the expectations should still be to win a first round series at the minimum. Like just because the team got off to a slow start, has that changed what I expect? No. Like the expectations should still be there, even if this team crawls their way to the playoffs and they're 500 or a little bit over and they're a road team. Like I still think this team is built, like on paper, they should be good enough to get out of the first round of the East. And if they don't, that's a failure to me. That's a disappointment. And I think that hasn't really changed for me. I think there's a chance though, honestly, there's a chance. It's small, but there's a chance that expectation actually grows. Like if this team continues on this trajectory and starts, especially when Paolo gets back, looks like the team we expected, I think what the definition of a disappointing season could change in the other direction. Like if we don't make the conference finals, maybe again, that's an extreme take, but you never know. I think that's more possible, but anything less than a second round appearance, I think for sure would be a disappointment for pretty much all Magic fans. I'd say.
It's that line from The Wire, like the price of the brick has gone up. If you if you're a 1 seed, all of a sudden, like
exactly,
the expectations have changed. We live in a different world today than we did. I guess that's also a line from draft day. We live in a different world today than we did months ago.
Yeah.
And look, I've had a front row seat to it with the Knicks, like with Knicks fans, and how expectations, you make the conference finals and you still are able to fire your coach, which again, I was okay with them doing, but it changes your outlook on a Saturday against Orlando, even though I am intrigued by the matchup. Let's talk about the Eastern Conference. I haven't really had a chance to do that on this pod yet. I haven't had a chance to really talk about the fact that our teams, who are very close in record, the Knicks currently sit at 9-5 to start the year, the Magic at 9-7, and that's good for 3rd and 7th, or a two-way tie, for 7th. Oh no, you guys are in 8th or 9th. Where am I? What am I looking at? What I see is the number 7, and it's written 4 times. The Hawks, the Magic, the Bucks, and the Celtics all have 7 losses this season. Ironically, the Western Conference, it's a very, very good top 4 or 5, depending on how good you think the Spurs are without Wemby. But like, you got OKC that might lose 8 games this year. You got Denver at 11-3, Houston at 10-3, and then it's this Lakers, Spurs, Timberwolves collective. But like you guys just played the Clippers, who have 11 losses this year and are the 11 or 12 seed, depending on which what happens with Memphis. And then the Celtics are 8-7 over 500. They're the 11 seed at the moment. So it's interesting to talk about an Eastern Conference that everybody said would be bad and currently has over 500 teams to this point in the season. I mean, I said this in the first pregame pod of the year when I was talking to Justin Rowan of the Chase Down pod, because the Knicks are playing the Cavs, and it's like everybody's saying it's us, right? It's the Knicks and the Cavs, and that's it. And we both said, like, who do we think is the other team we should be paying attention to? He said Orlando, and I said, like, my first thought is Atlanta, specifically because of ironically, it was the Trae Young pick and roll that I was worried about the Knicks stopping. And then I mentioned, should we be afraid of Giannis? Like, it's the only series that either of us will play that we won't have the best player in, is if we play against Giannis. And they got off to the start they did. They're now the 10th seed, or tied for 10th in the East. But look, the start that Detroit has gotten off to, 13-2, 11 straight wins. Toronto is currently the 2 seed at the moment. They've won 5 straight. They're 10-5. The Bulls and the Heat and the Sixers and the starts they've gotten off to. Like, if you had to now, like, I would say our 2 teams, the Knicks and the Magic, are still in my head 2 of the top 3 teams in the conference. But how much more does this East have to look like this before you start reconsidering some things?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Yeah, the depth of this conference so far, has surprised me. And one of the things Jonathan and I always joke about on our show is the idea of a small sample size. Like, how far into the season can you go when you can stop saying small sample size? Because we're sitting here at between 14, 15, 16 games for most teams. We're pushing 20% of the league of the season so far. Like, we're almost there. And so at some point I go, man, maybe this East really is this deep, where there's a bunch of good teams, maybe not a lot of great teams, but good teams. And it definitely makes you ask some questions like that. But I'm with you. I still think the Knicks and the Cavs are the cream of the crop. The Pistons, I think they're very interesting. Like, the fact that they've done this with a lot of injuries is impressive to me. I look at their schedule, and they've had some easy wins in this stretch. I mean, easy opponents. So I don't pull a whole lot from it. But anytime you win 11 in a row against the NBA, like, that's worth something. And so I give them a lot of credit. But outside of that, the rest of this group, I don't know. Giannis is always going to be scary. Like you mentioned, Atlanta. I think the Magic could be right up there with all those teams. But yeah, I think you're right. The depth has really, really surprised me. And all of that with an Indiana team that I didn't expect to be 2-13.
Yeah.
Like, I knew they would obviously have a drop off without, Tyrese Halliburton, but 2-13, I never saw coming. And so the fact that the East is this deep without the Pacers even in the picture is very surprising and very interesting.
The fact that the Pacers are 2-13, like, usually when I talk to Caitlin Cooper about it's like, okay, let's talk X's and O's. I don't have a single X's and O question about a 2-13. Like, I feel for them. And it's why, like, I am so curious about the perspective of how Pacers fans view last year's playoff run.
Yeah.
Because it, in one sense, is the dream playoff run. You upset Giannis with a crazy finish to the final game. I guess they were favored in that series, but like, you beat Giannis in the first round, a division rival. You upset the Cavs in the second round, have this crazy miraculous win in game 2. You upset, and we'll talk about that game a little later, you upset the Knicks, get to the finals, and have this crazy win in Madison Square Garden, and Halliburton gets to do what he did at the end of game 1. And then you get to the finals, and it's like you have another crazy finish to win game 1 against the Thunder. You win 2 of the first 3 games. You have a collapse at the end of game 4, but then you come back, you win game 6. You're on your way to potentially winning a title and one of the biggest upsets ever. And so to that point, for like 99% of that run, it's one of the greatest experiences you've had as a sports fan. Then from the middle of the first quarter to the end of the game till now, it's just been a nightmare. So it's like, how do you remember the 2025 playoff run? Is it all a nightmare, or is it actually what the majority of it was, which was a dream come true. I don't wish that on either of our teams, that like we are able to enjoy a 99% good playoff run that ends in heartbreak and takes out the next season. For sure.
Since you quoted some masterful films and stuff earlier, for me it reminds me of, I think it was Endgame in the Marvel, like, what did it cost? Everything.
Oh, that's Infinity War. We're that.
Infinity War.
It honestly does feel like a Thanos snap, because like that's a snap. I did not mean for a snap of the fingers, not the snap of the Achilles. I promise I didn't mean it like that.
I didn't even catch that.
I did not mean it like
that's
that.
Rough.
But like the fact that at the end of that movie, everybody disappears, as those your hopes, your dreams, and you lost.
Yeah.
It's very similar. They got Infinity Ward, unfortunately. I am curious about the Pistons because of what Jalen Duren seems to have become. His ability to really score now and score off the dribble is not something I saw coming. He's right now my front runner for most improved player. It's like a him and Josh Giddey and AJ Mitchell, basically a 3-man race right there. I'm pretty sure he's going to be an all-star this year. But yeah, if that's what he is, then you've got like him and Cade potentially. That's a 50-win team. That's a team to be reckoned with, which might put a damper into our plans, as like we're the two teams to be two of the top 3 teams to potentially beat Toronto. I need to play them. Like I need to watch them play and actually see the Knicks play them before I'm sorry. I just need to see it on the Knicks court first, like to see it in front of me first. I understand I haven't seen the Knicks play the Pistons this year, but I saw them play last year, and I know what I'm getting. It's a physical, aggressive game that I know what to expect. Toronto, you want to talk about small sample size? I want to see it on Christmas Day, and then I'll reconsider some things. But I think this is actually the point of the show where I want to ask you about the Knicks and what you think. Like, I've asked you so much about the Magic. Like, what do you think about the Knicks as far as their chances to win a title? Albeit, like, it would be at the expense of the Orlando Magic. But say, like, if the Magic don't have to face the Knicks in the first round, right? Like, or in the playoffs at all. Like, if the Knicks' chances this year.
Yeah, I think first, you look at the Eastern Conference as a whole, like we just talked about. I think they're right up there with the best of them, with the best chance, I should say, to make it the finals. I put Cleveland there. We'll see about Detroit, like you said. I mean, we just went over all that. But for me, last season in the finals, we just talked about it with the Pacers and the Thunder in the finals. It proved to me that while the Thunder can go out there and win 70-something games in the regular season, I think there's still a way to beat them in the playoffs. And I think all it takes, whatever team from the East is going to have a chance. That's what I think. And it might be small, but I think the Knicks could be one of those teams that have a chance to beat the Thunder if they make it there. And maybe it's just because I'm a hater. I can't stand the Thunder right now. I think they're beatable. I know they don't show it in the regular season, but I think they're beatable in the playoffs. I think the Knicks have some tools to get there. For me, like the concept of which I understand, and I'll explain in a second, but the concept of firing a coach or letting go a coach, however you guys wanted to phrase it, after the run to the conference finals and all that kind of stuff, on paper you just go, what? Right? Like that's a wild thing to do. But having loosely followed the Knicks, and especially through your guys' content, you understand why. Like you can understand, you can see it. Right?
He's the only coach that could get fired after making the conference finals, and everybody would understand. It's the craziest outcome of last season. They fired Tibbs, and everybody was like, "Oh yeah, it's probably time."
Right?
Like, just got the furthest they did since 2000, and even again, it wasn't about results; it was about the process that they were sick of.
And so that part contributing to this season, and again, even like a 9-5 start, doesn't jump out at you on paper, but when you factor that in, it makes sense, right? I mean, things change when you get a new coach. I mean, top to bottom, things change. And so there's a lot of things to get accustomed to for the players, for the staff, all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I still consider this to be a little bit of a small sample size in the season. I fully expect the Knicks to be there in the top 2, top 3 at the very least by the end of the regular season. And then, I think they could absolutely make a run to the title if possible.
Christmas is my checkpoint, by the way. The day that I look at the standings and like actually start to understand, okay, this is what the East currently looks like. I think it's Christmas, and then it's like the All-Star break, obviously, because you're probably another 20 or 25 games further into it. And then, I mean, it really comes down to like there's a 1/3 of the way, 2/3 of the way, and then obviously your final number. I liken it to baseball, where it's very much for me, like I don't look at a standing list once before Memorial Day, and I don't think any baseball fan should over a 162-day marathon. And then I don't look at it again. Like I start to understand, like, okay, we're a first place team, we're a last place team, whatever. But like it's Memorial Day is the first time I check it. Then the All-Star break is when you really start to say, okay, this is what the rest of the season, like what you have ahead of you. And I think, the small sample size probably isn't, but it's not a big enough sample size, I think is the better way to put it. Yeah. So we come to the last question here, Kevin. And I hate to say it. I think I know your answer already. We're talking about that game. And John said the Nick Anderson game in '95. I don't think you were. We've talked about how old you are. I don't think you were alive for this game.
I was alive, but I was 3. Yeah.
So you weren't old enough to, unless you were the greatest 3-year-old that's sweating out NBA Finals games of all time. Yeah. So that game, I've been asking everybody about, like, what is that game to them as a sports fan? For those who are watching for the first time, what is the game that loss that you point to and say, yeah, that's a loss, the worst loss I've ever experienced as a fan of this team? You say that game to another fan, and they know exactly what you're talking about. I'm assuming it's Nick Anderson, but if it's not, tell me, what is that game?
It's actually not. Okay, so buckle up. Here we go. I'm ready. This is a game that will be forgotten because, it was just forgotten. It was lost in all the craziness of the 2009 NBA Finals. Magic Lakers. Okay, this was Dwight Howard's only appearance in the finals with the Magic. This was during the Dwight Howard era. Game 1, we got absolutely destroyed. You talk about this. It was the epitome of lights were too bright. It was the first finals appearance for the entire team. You're in LA at Staples Center. Kobe, Pau Gasol, the ABC, intros. Like, it was tough. Game 2, however, is where I draw your attention. Game 2, the Magic Lakers, an epic game. It was a great game. Some great plays on both ends. Offense, defense down the stretch. Magic get a stop on the Lakers with less than a second left. I don't remember the number off the top of my head. They get an inbounds pass to a guy by the name of Courtney Lee, who I'm sure you remember. He was a rookie at the time. It's a beautifully designed play by Stan Van Gundy, a great pass by Hedo Turkoglu. Courtney Lee, it is a little awkward, but it's essentially a layup at the buzzer. By the way, it was tied. So a layup to win the game. To win game 2, you take it 1-1 back to Orlando. And he missed it. We go to overtime. We lose the game. That moment right there, because the reason why, I always say, in my bias, that was the closest 5-game series in NBA Finals history, because game 2 went to overtime. Game 4 went to overtime, which the Magic lost. And game 3, the Magic won, was a 1-possession game in the final minute. Just 1 or 2 possessions changed there. And that Courtney Lee one being the biggest one for me. The Magic could have been looking at a 3-1 lead hosting game 5 against the Lakers. And I know people will roll their eyes. They're saying, nah, you weren't going to beat Kobe and Pau and all that kind of stuff. I think if Courtney Lee makes that layup at the end of game 2, you had a really good chance going 1-1 back to Orlando. I really believe that. And so that's the game for me. That's like that game that hurt so much. 17-year-old Kevin was crushed, devastated. That was the one for me.
It meets all the criteria because you're playing out the rest of the series and an alternate timeline of how it potentially could have gone your way. I'm staring at the play right now. Hedo Turkoglu makes this great block on Kobe Bryant. So time technically runs out, and then it looks like that the refs are going to put a little bit of time left on the clock, and it creates this out of bounds play from Stan Van Gundy for the Magic. Yeah, they put 0.6. Oh my gosh.
There it is. Yeah.
0.6 left on the clock. I will put some of this in post so people can understand how close this was. Oh my gosh, Courtney Lee.
Yeah, you see
I'm
it?
watching it now. Yeah,
It's
he
tough.
has the layup at the rim. He also was wearing a face mask at the
Yeah.
time, I guess. So that might have impeded his view of the rim. Yeah, it meets all the criteria because you're
Tough.
looking at just one thing going differently, and the alternate. Speaking of Endgame, like
Yeah.
a different timeline potentially plays out.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
you know,
That's the for sure.
it's an understandable one. Also, you didn't mention it, and I think Jonathan mentioned this too. Doesn't Pau Gasol goaltend on this too?
Well, yeah. For me, I don't ever whine about it because it didn't impact the shot. Like it was definitely gonna miss. But yes, technically his finger goes through the rim on the underside of the rim.
He's holding the rim.
It touches it. Yeah.
You're right. It doesn't affect the shot. I'm staring at it now, and I'll put it in post. Like, yeah, that's a
goaltend.
That's a goaltend.
It is. Yeah.
Oh, so there's a bad call on this too.
Yeah.
All right, now I officially empathize with Magic fans. This is one of the worst losses in NBA history. I was saying to Dane Moore, like, I wish of that game on you. Like, you get to experience, like, there is some beauty in the fact that your team gets that far and you get to experience wins or, I guess, losses like this. And look, the Magic, if they win their 50 games and hit their over this year, it'll be their first 50-win season since Dwight Howard. And, you know, is there? I mean, you tell me. We'll wrap up on this. Are Magic fans still like? Is there still a hint of gratefulness that like how far we've come, like post Vooch trade, post Aaron Gordon trade, like what we rebuilt? Like, hey, I know we have expectations now. We have places we want to be. We remember where we used to be though, and we're enjoying this run right now.
100%. Because I mean, you think about it. We sit here November of 2025. We won the Paolo lottery summer of 22. So we're 3 calendar years removed from that, from a 22 win team that got the number 1 overall pick. And so absolutely, like, gratefulness is the perfect word for it. Grateful that certain things have gone our way, like, you know, getting the number 1 overall pick, but then getting the pick right. You know, that's a big thing for that year. That was a hotly contested number 1 overall pick, you know, doing that, you know, obviously the year before you draft Franz and Jalen, and those guys have panned out in different ways, and on you go. Grateful is a great word to use. The fact that, because we tried to rebuild once after the Dwight thing and it didn't work, and then we kind of tried a second time and it didn't work. But the fact that this one has worked, and who knows how far it's going to go, but the fact that it's led to winning basketball and high expectations, grateful is a great way to put it. Yeah, we're feeling good about where we are, and the fact that these guys are still so young. I mean, you're looking at 24-year-old Franz, 23-year-old Paolo, like, and on down the list. Like, the future is very, very bright, and I think Magic fans definitely are grateful.
Do they have a rotation player over 30?
Technically, Tyus Jones is. Wait, is he not even 30? Is he? I think he's 30.
I think he's 30.
Yeah, if not, he's really close. And most Magic fans wish he wasn't a rotation player, but he is nonetheless.
Has he been that bad to start the year?
He's been that bad. He's been. Look up his stats. I'll stall for you, and
You're good. I'm staring at it.
You
so
should.
Tyus
They're
Jones this season, 1.9 points per game, 32% from the field, and 19% from three. It looks like he's not a rotation. His minutes keep going down. He played 5 minutes in the blowout today.
Correct. He did tonight, but yeah, he had his best game in a Magic shirt on Tuesday against Golden State, where he went 3 of 3 from the field. I think 2 of 2 from three. And so give him credit for that. But outside of that, I mean, he's gone 0 for many, many nights. And when I say rotation, he has played like double-digit minutes several games, not every game, but several games. But some nights it's just he's unplayable because defensively, I mean, he's always been not great. But to add the fact that he's not contributing anything on offense this season has been a whole different thing.
So is it a 9-man rotation right now without Paolo? So Tristan da Silva is starting in place of Paolo at the moment. Then it's Franz, Wendell Carter, Des Bane, Jalen Suggs. Right. Then the 4 off the bench, it looks like you're going Goga Bitadze, Anthony Black, Jet Howard, and Jonathan Isaac. Is it normally a 9-man rotation? That's what we'll see on Saturday night, probably?
Sort of. So the Jet and Tyus thing it depends on the night. Tyus has played more games than Jet. I think Tyus has only missed, I want to say off the top of my head, 2, maybe 3 games he hasn't played. Jet does not play consistently. He did play tonight, but not consistently. The thing that Magic fans want to see, they want to see rookie Jace Richardson get those Tyus minutes. That's the thing that every Magic fan wants to see right now, because Jace Richardson can at least halfway defend, even though he's small. He can defend better than Tyus Jones. And right now, we think he's going to shoot the ball better than Tyus Jones because, like you said, he's shooting 19% from three. So that's the gripe right now. We want to see more Jace Richardson, but I think he's got to earn the minutes from coach, I guess.
So this is the same with every fan base, that there's a young player that is not getting enough minutes over a veteran.
Yep.
I will say the evidence does seem to be in favor of the young player at the moment. But maybe, I mean, Tyus Jones has played long enough that I would assume that Mosley just wants to give him more than a 15-game sample before pulling the plug on this. This is, I promise, my last question. The Mosley smoke that his job could potentially be in jeopardy, has that now gone away after this 5-1 run that they've had?
Yeah, I think so for sure. And again, part of the, and I know I'm beating a dead horse, but part of the reason why the Magic fan base was so frustrated with Mosley at the start of the season wasn't because we were losing games.
Optics,
How it looked like this was totally different from the success that we'd seen under Mosley in the last 2 years. And not just the fact of defense, like it was body language. Like we were concerned about, is he losing these guys? Like what's going on? But again, the last 10 days or so have just been a totally different experience. And I think Magic fans are back on board with Mosley.
It appears something happened last Wednesday where the team went out, had a good road win against a good team in the conference, and it must have just reversed the vibes completely, which is why the Knicks need to go into one of their second homes down in Florida. And unfortunately for you, they need to get some revenge and maybe reverse the vibes the other way. But hoping for a good game. And, it's always good when the Knicks play the Magic because I get to link up with the Six Man Show. And Kevin, it's always good to see you. And before you get out of here, before you become my rival for the next 24, 48 hours, please let the fine folks at home know where they can find you and all of your stuff.
Yeah, of course. We are the Six Man Show. You can find us on social media at Six Man Show or on YouTube, where we do our podcast every Monday and Thursday talking about this team. And we have a live post-game show after every game on YouTube as well. And so after the game, if you want to get a Magic perspective, you can come join us over on YouTube. After, of course, you watch Knicks Film School's post-game show as well.
That's right. And listen, I think we're at the point where, and this is the cool part about the pregame pod, where people are excited. Like, oh, that's the Magic. They get to check in with the Six Man Show. Like when this relationship that I've created with a bunch of different content creators, people have somebody in some place to look forward to. So I'm sure there will be many a Knicks fan in your mentions should the Knicks win on Saturday night. They will not be should there be another Magic victory, which I got to be honest, I'm not feeling great about this game for the Knicks post Anunoby. And just the way they've looked on the road, I need them to look so much better than they have before I start going into games with confidence, but we'll see. Kevin, as always, it is good to see you, my friend. And thank you to everybody for tuning in to another edition of the Knicks Film School Pregame Show. If you dug it, please head over to the YouTube channel. Like this video, subscribe. Thank you again for 50,000. We really appreciate it. If you're listening on iTunes or on Spotify, please leave a 5-star rating and a review. Follow us on socials, Nick Film SKOOL. And if you're looking for bonus content, check out the Patreon and check out the Substack, whether it's Macri's newsletter, DJ, and Benji's film work. You will find some great stuff there. I'll be back on Monday, continuing this very weird road trip where the Knicks are all over the United States. They will go from Texas to Orlando to Brooklyn, then to Charlotte, all before Thanksgiving. So they will be in Brooklyn on Monday. I'll have a pregame pod for you then. Till next time, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the game tonight, and I will speak with you soon. Peace.
Must be 21 or over. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland, visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Not available in all states. Terms apply. See Fanatics Sportsbook app.